Hello everybody, welcome back to the 450 Dead Center baseball, mainly only Blue Jays channel. Chris here with Daniel.
Oh.
Hey, and we are talking about, or going to be grading, the Toronto Blue Jays offseason. Let's go. I'm pumped about that.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Baseball's back. I'm saying baseball's back. Pitchers and catchers report, so baseball's back to me.
Yeah, and we're seeing Yusei Kikuchi throw like 97 in his pen sessions. It's looking good. You know, he might win the Cy Young Award this year. I mean, he can. Don't think he will, but he could, so that's cool.
Yeah, and I'll hit 30 home runs in the majors, Chris. Okay, well, let's move on here because that is not going to happen. But, Jays, like we said, Jays offseason's kind of winding down. It's basically done at this point. I mean, there might be one or two more minor moves or a trade or here or there, but there's nothing I don't think major going to happen anymore between now and opening day. So
yeah, I don't think anything major will happen unless you make a trade, which it's possible. We've done it in the past, like we traded Randall Grichuk just before the season started last year, but I really don't see that happening again.
Yeah, I think if something does happen trade-wise, it'll be for one of the second basemen. Mm-hmm. One of the three of them that we have.
Yeah, Sia Santi.
Yeah, it'll probably be something because, I mean, Kevin's the face of the channel and Witt's too good right now. So
exactly.
He's just the odd man out. But let's just recap the Jays offseason moves here, Chris. And it started off with a bang at the start of the year. And not signing an actual player for the team. It was actually a coach move, and that was signing Don Mattingly to the bench coach.
Really? Oh, yeah, that was first. Okay, I didn't think that was the first thing that we did.
Yeah, no, that was the first move.
Honestly, very, if not the most underrated pickup out of all the teams in the offseason. This guy's not even going to be playing for us. But the knowledge and experience that he's going to bring is just going to help out the team so much. Plus, our Jays team is like a lot of ex-Marlin players, and Mattingly used to manage the Marlins. So he's got a good relationship with a lot of those players already.
As well, you got to mention, too, this is a guy who's, I want to say off the top of my head, he's probably won a couple World Series. I'm not sure the exact years, but
I don't know.
He was with the Yankees for years. He had to win a couple World Series. He's playing a ton of big games for sure. He's had previous managerial experience, so that's only going to help out John Schneider, right, who's just really entering his first year.
Pretty much,
full-time manager.
And don't forget, 2020, the Marlins, they made it to the second round of the playoffs with Don Mattingly as the coach. Yeah. So he's got experience. Yeah. So that's something I really
He's got experience. And also, this guy was one of the best lefty hitters. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to teach that to the younger core who are arguably already fantastic hitters. Like, this Jays team might be one of the best hitting Jays teams we see this year.
Yeah, no, I definitely think we're at, like, for sure top 10. Borderline top 5. It's very hard to, make up the bats of, like, Gurriel and Teoscar, obviously. But we did bring in guys like Varsho, which we'll talk about later. But, yeah, I think if we can get the lefties going, have a good lefty-righty split in our batting lineup, someone like Don Mattingly can really bring the best out of all of them.
I think also plate discipline. I think that's going to be huge for this team. If this team can have a good plate discipline, it's going to be a hard team to pitch to.
It will be. It's like we just need a batter with like Bo Bichette's aggressiveness and like plate fouling offness with Kevin Biggio's eye. That would be like the greatest player in MLB history.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like the aggressiveness with the Jays from top to bottom. I mean, Bo's the main case of it, obviously.
I mean, he leads the league in hits all the time, so it's okay.
Yeah, it works out for him. But I mean, in total, overall, the lineup is always very aggressive swinging strikes. And I feel like Mattingly, he has that conservative approach. He has that veteran approach, I would like to say. And he's been there. He's done that. So when you look at his Jays team, not really anyone's been in big games. You know what I mean? Like, no one's really played in, I don't know, semifinal games, World Series games, right?
I mean, George Springer and Brandon Bell.
Aside from a couple guys here or there, right?
Yeah, nobody from like the main like core that we brought up.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to get. No one by the main core. So Mattingly's just gonna, and not even the manager, right? Schneider hasn't been in any big games. Maybe in the minors, he's been in a couple
he did
double-A games, right? But
we did lose the wild card series last year, but we don't talk about that.
But like I said, Mattingly's been there. He's done that. He's been on both the player and the coach side. So I think he's an underrated thing, and I'm really excited to see what he does with these Jays hitters.
Yep, 100%. And let's move on to the second thing that we did this offseason.
Yeah, we actually, and I mean, this took me by surprise. I'm pretty sure it took you by surprise here, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that was when we traded Teo to the Mariners for Eric Swanson and Adam Mayfield.
Yeah, that really pissed off a lot of Jays fans. It was not the flashiest deal. Good for Seattle. They got another outfielder and a great hitter to pair alongside J-Rod. But for us, we got a great bullpen piece and then a young guy who could be a good player in the future.
I mean, I'm always biased at this because Mako's Canadian, so obviously I'm gonna have a little bias.
Yeah, he's gonna be great.
But with that being said, it had to be done. Teo, as much as I love Teo, there's no way they could have done the moves that are further down the line with Teo's contract up.
No, exactly. And this is his last year, or he's going into his last year, so he would have costed money, and then there would be the added pressure of them trying to re-sign him. So yeah, I think it was balances out over time.
Did you see how much he's making in arbitration this year? It's
how much?
Jays couldn't afford it. I think he wanted 17 and a half.
That's a qualifying offer right there. So it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's basically a qualifying offer for him. So I mean, Teo's good. Don't get me wrong; he deserves all the money. But in this Jays team, they need to spend the money elsewhere. So I think what they did, bringing Swanson, he's a great bullpen guy. It's fantastic changeup. More I look into him, he's good K rate. So I'm excited to see what he does in this pen. Could be honestly a high leverage guy. He might even take the load off Jordan Romano in the bullpen
for sure.
And Mako's a young prospect, so I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah.
Oh, he got him.
All right, let's move on to the next one, Daniel. And who's the next one on this list?
I mean, Chris, this felt like it was soon, later in the offseason. But I didn't realize how long ago this actually happened. This was Chris Bassitt to the Jays for 3 years, and this was a very huge move for the Jays.
It was a big move. We got that Ross Stripling replacement, which we might talk about later. Yep. I don't know if we will. But honorable mention, Ross Stripling leaving the Jays, Respect to Ross Stripling. He's a great pitcher for us. Single-handedly helped us make the postseason last year, so pretty proud about him. And hopefully he'll perform well in San Francisco. But yeah, Chris Bassitt. Oh, he's so good.
I mean, it's an immediate upgrade.
Yeah.
Over anyone. Kukuchki. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Anyone that we had in the 4 or 5 last year. Stripling, Kukuchki. It's all an upgrade over top of them.
Could arguably say Barrios.
Maybe Barrios. Mitch White, definitely an upgrade over him.
Yeah.
Thomas Hatch, it's an upgrade over him.
Thomas Hatch pitched 2 innings, gave up 9 runs last year. It was brutal.
Exactly. So Bassett's going to be a workforce for this team. I mean, 3 years it's turns out to be a lot of money for the Jays in total. But as we talked about before, getting rid of Teo allows them to do this. It allows them to have a little more flexibility. It allows them to go address the pitching because really that's what this team really lacked last year, and they always lack is pitching.
Yeah, exactly. The batting lineup, it could really compete with anybody. The pitching, on its day, it can, but we need consistent pitching to win a World Series.
You look at all the other teams that win the World Series: Astros, Dodgers, Braves, even when the Nationals won. They were all carried by pitching. Carried by pitching. Right?
Yeah. So who's next on the trade market or the offseason market?
And I think this is where the Jays really turned around the offseason because up to this point, Chris, I was giving the Jays, a C, B minus for the offseason. It was good, but it wasn't amazing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? It was fair.
Yeah.
Right here's where I think we jumped to a B plus, undoubtedly, and that's Jays trading for Varsho for Gabriel Moreno and Lourdes. Yes, it hurts. Yes, Moreno's good. Yes, Lourdes is good as well, and he's an MLB player. But the Jays are missing a left-handed power bat. They're missing defense in the outfield, and Varsho gets you both of that.
He does, and you said, it hurts. To me, it really doesn't hurt. I'm gonna be honest. As much as I liked Gurriel and liked Moreno, Varsho is an upgrade on both of them, and he's just one player. It's basically a downscale version of just say the Jays trade a really good outfielder and a really good pitcher for Ohtani. Instead, we're trading a meh catcher who's not proved anything yet, and then a above average left fielder for a guy who can catch and play left field better than the guy who we had that can catch and play left field.
I mean, you also forgot to mention Varsho is a lefty.
That too. That's even more upgrade.
Or the Guardians' early damage against McClanahan. Dalton Varsho sends one just short of the bullpen out there in center field.
Yeah, Rowdy Tellez was also a good lefty power bat. I mean, before your internet crashed again, I was saying, well, I mean, I was thinking of Ryan Howard, but he's not even in the MLB anymore. So,
way to call me out, by the way, for the crappy Wi-Fi. By the way, I appreciate that.
I'm sure you guys can tell. Anytime Daniel's camera's blurry, it's because his internet's not working well.
I appreciate that. I'm trying my best over here. Okay, it's a struggle.
Basement
but yeah,
life.
Yeah, basement life.
Yeah.
Timbuktu life, you know how it is. Yeah, Rowdy Tellez is probably the last J I could think of that was a power bat for the Jays, lefty wise.
Well, Kevin Biggio.
Okay, Rowdy Tellez was the last guy I could say that Jays was a power bat for the Jays because I mean every time Tellez came up, like yeah, he never really lived up his potential here, and he's doing great in Milwaukee, but he at least had the potential to go yard. You know what I mean? We haven't really had that since.
Yeah.
Then. And
plus,
I feel like Varsho brings that, plus the good defense.
Yeah, and plus, Rowdy Tellez hit that like 500, like 20-foot bomb that StatCast read wrong at Fenway once. That was cool.
Yeah, Rowdy Tellez, love you, buddy, but Varsho's an immediate upgrade. I'm excited to see him. He's probably the player I'm most excited for to see.
I agree.
This year for the Jays. And this is where I think the offseason really turns around to the Jays because then all of a sudden they double dip and they get another power lefty bat in Brandon Belt.
I like it. I like the Brandon Belt signing. Not as much, obviously, as the Varsho signing because, you know, Varsho will be every day. But Brandon Belt, he's getting so many dingers. Like, he hit a lot of dingers when playing San Francisco as a lefty. Like, imagine him in, like, a new short porch Rogers Center. Like, he's going to be so good.
I was listening to something, and they were taking Brandon Belt's
They
hits
took his
from
belt
last year.
Yeah,
my bad. Brandon Belt's hits from last year. And they were basically putting it with the new Rogers Center dimensions.
Yeah.
And with the new walls and factoring in the height and all that, there were 30 fly ball outs that Brandon Belt had that would have been home runs in Toronto.
30. How many home runs did he hit last year?
30 home runs in between this year and the year before. He was
Holy cow.
Season, right? So
that's so many.
30 home runs between what was it, 2021 season and the 2022 season he would have had more.
So that's a lot of dingers.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm excited to see him. I think at the start of it, we kind of were unsure when we did our original Brandon Belt video that he was going to be, I think we were pretty convinced he was going to be probably a bench leadership kind of guy, maybe platoon every so often. It seems like he's going to be an everyday bat against right-handed batters.
I think he has to be, but you really don't know.
It's just injury, right?
Exactly.
Can he stay healthy?
Even if he plays 80 games, I'll be fine with that, or even less. Like, it's okay.
I think we're gonna get 100 games out of him.
That's
I do.
Fair.
I think 100 games out of him is more than enough. And he's gonna be really, really good. I hope so.
Yeah.
And then I mean, we talk about the Jays turning on the off season here. It double dips, and I want to bring up this move because it was a very underrated move, I think. And I've heard Ben Nichols-Smith talk about it, and Arden Zweller. They said the same thing. That's when the Jays traded for Zach Thompson.
Yes. This was.
And you're going to be like,
Zach Thompson. Who dis? You know?
Yeah, I know. Chris, I texted Chris immediately. I was like, Chris, underrated move. He literally turns to me, first text he sends me back is, why do I care? Who's that?
Who's this guy? I don't care.
He's like, I don't care. And I basically said to him like this. 2 or 3 years ago, Zach Thompson had a great year for the where he was pitching at Bush. He was on the Marlins, I'm pretty sure.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Right?
Like all the Jays were.
And yeah, like all the Jays are. He had a very, very good season. He was a MLB pitcher then, like a quality one.
Is he a starter?
And he was getting the job done. As well as then you fast forward a couple years, has a couple rough years, whatever. You look at his stats from last year, his cutter is in like the 98th percentile.
Ooh, that's a nice cutter.
Right? That's a nice approach. We then put him with the GOAT Pete Walker as the pitching coach, right? He has 5 minor league options still.
5. I thought the maximum was 3. This is great.
Or 3, whatever it is. Sorry, my bad. I thought it was 5.
I don't know. I'm just taking MLB The Show logic. I don't know if that's even accurate.
Okay, whatever the max is. I thought it was 5, but maybe it's 3.
It could be.
He has his max minor league options still. That's the point I'm trying to get across.
Okay.
So
maybe
and
4.
Now, whatever it is, 4, 3, 6, 2, whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
And now I lost my train of thought.
Option,
Oh,
Daniel.
options. So now we know the Jays have had trouble staying healthy in that rotation every year. It's always a problem, right?
Yep. Every year.
Instead of bringing up Thomas Hatch and hoping he can get you an inning, right? Or bringing up Anthony Kay, we don't even have him anymore, but having like an Anthony Kay come
like
up
a
and
Trent Thornton or somebody.
Trent Thornton, right? Like all these guys that if you're praying they get through 2 innings.
Honestly, facts.
Right? You're praying they get through 2 innings. Now you have Zach Thompson, who can at least give you 5 innings, and you can be competitive.
Thank goodness. I like that. I like him now. Good.
So I wanted to bring that up because I think that's a great depth move. I think it's under the radar. I don't think enough people are talking about it. Yes, it's not going to make or break the Jays World Series, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to see Zach Thompson more than likely pitch in the Game 7 of the World Series. Please, God, don't. Or if stuff's really, really.
Whoa! What if he wins the Cy Young?
But,
him and Kikuchi 1-2 combo here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Kikuchi closing out Game 7. But it's a nice underrated move. Jays are really addressing their depth, which I love, Chris.
I like it too.
And then they just add to the pitching depth with the next move here of Chad Green for 2 years.
I love this move. Like, I know you like the Thompson move. I like the Chad Green move because whenever we were playing the Yankees back in the day, like 2 years ago, and Chad Green came in, I was like, I hate this guy every single time. So now he's on our team, so now Yankee fans could be like, I hate this guy. So I like it. Plus, if anything, he'll come back like after the trade deadline or right before the trade deadline. So basically, when he comes back, he's pretty much a free trade deadline acquisition. Except we're paying for him, but we don't have to give up anybody. So that's really awesome, and I like that.
I think also you forgot to mention the way his contract's structured. There's a potential the Jays get him for like 4 years at like $8 million each, or 3 years at $8 million each. It's something like basically. The way the contract structures, they have the 1 year that's guaranteed, which is this year. Then there's an option for the Jays that if they want to accept it, it basically goes to like 3 years, $8 million, or 3 years, $9 million, or 3 years, $10 million, whatever. It's super cheap. Yeah. If they decline it, then Green has the option to accept a 1 year deal, 1 year option where he gets paid so much. If he declines that, then they can negotiate. And then if they both can't get into anything, then they get the free agency. So, like, it's really a win-win deal. Like, at the end of the day, you have the possibility of getting this guy who can be an elite arm in the pen when he's healthy, right? At $8 million a year.
Exactly. And then, like, imagine pairing that up with, like, Romano, Jimmy Garcia, Eric Swanson, Adam Simber. Like, ooh, our
Chad
bullpen.
Green's the type of guy. Don't forget, when the Yankees were playing the Twins, and I want to say 2017 playoffs, 2018 playoffs?
I think it was 2017 because the Twins blew it. I remember that.
Maybe. Really you know exactly which game I'm talking about,
exactly
where they had like a 6-0 lead in the second. They chased whoever the pitcher was out. I think it was Severino.
It was so funny.
They threw Chad Green in there. He shut the door.
I was so angry because I'm like, yes, the Yankees are going to lose.
Exactly. For like 4 innings, he shut the door. So if we can get that Chad Green here to do for 1 or 2 innings every night, this bullpen has gotten 1 million times better, Chris.
Exactly. And, like, honestly, I don't think he'll be, like, a lights out right when he comes back because, Tommy John and stuff. But recently, with new technology, Tommy John has a very high success rate now. Like, back in the day, it's like, it's 50-50. Now it's just like, well, you're basically fine. Like, Justin Verlander came back, won the Cy Young. So maybe next year, if we have Chad Green for, like, a full season, this guy's going to be, like, a lights-out reliever, and it's going to be awesome.
Agreed, and you bring up a good point. It's more of a move for next season. It's more of a way to set up your bullpen for next season because there's a lot of, like, these guys in the bullpen that are off the books next year unless we re-sign them. I think Garcia's one. I think Simber's one off the top of my head. But having Chad Green as a stable guy in there, assuming he's healthy, it's a nice little comfort for us.
Yeah, exactly. I like it, and then we don't even need to mention like all the guys in the minors. We got like Zulueta and some guys like that. Maybe Nate Pearson who can come up as well. So I think that's the last move that we did, right? Getting Chad Green. Well, besides the Bo Bichette extension, if we're going to talk.
Yeah, I was going to say we capped it all for the Bo Bichette extension.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, before we wrap it up, we've given it a whole video on the Bo video extension. If you want to go look at it, it'll be up in the corner somewhere or on our channel.
Yeah.
But Chris, if you had to give an overall grade for this Jays offseason, if A+ is like we're winning the World Series and F is we had an Oakland A's type offseason, what are you saying?
I'm gonna go a little bit pessimistic and say B+. I think there was more we could have done, and I know we're already over the luxury tax for like the first time in our team's history, but if we could have traded for somebody like a Brian Reynolds or signed maybe one more closer or like one more depth starting pitcher, would have been an A. But we didn't, so I'm going to go with the B+. But, I mean, there's still time to improve the grade.
I agree. You know what? I don't think you're being pessimistic at all. I think a B+ is very fair for this team.
Okay.
I mean, you got to look at it. You have to remember, we did trade away a like 30 home run silver slugger, middle of lineup guy. Like that's a hole. Like,
Teoscar,
is Varsho gonna fill it? I hope so. That's the plan, right?
Yeah, but like
Teoscar, who knows until it's proven.
Teoscar has like the second most home runs in the last 3 years, like combined, besides Judge.
Exactly.
I think. So in the American League.
Like we lost a big bat. Now the defense, a million times better.
Oh,
pitching, bullpen,
so nice.
I would say a million times better than last year.
Yeah. Plus, do we even talk about like getting Kevin Kiermaier? Like, I don't even think we did. So
I think we mentioned him really quick. Oh yeah, I think we mentioned him really quickly. If we did, we didn't. But yeah, there's another upgrade in the outfield. Plus, you gotta remember, there's a ton of minor league moves that the Jays made that could come in handy.
Exactly.
Off the top of my head, I mean, there's the Fernandez guy is one guy who could come in handy,
hard.
right?
Yeah,
like they set their depth up really well, and I think just for that alone, plus the moves, plus they address their defense, I think it's got to be minimum B+. If they extended Vlad or Bo to that 9-year, the 9-year Tatis kind of deal, then I would say it's an A.
Yeah,
but at that point, I think right now it's a B+, Chris.
That's fair. That's fair. Let us know in the comment section down below what you guys would grade the Jays off season. I know some people are like, oh, A+ because we're biased Jays fans, and some guys are like, it's a C because we got rid of Teoscar, Gurriel, and Moreno and all that. But like, whatever. It's all your opinion. Doesn't really matter.
We keep it real here. We keep it real.
We keep it real.
When the Jays suck, we love all your guys' opinions. Yeah. When the Jays suck, we'll let you know the Jays suck.
Exactly.
Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button down below. Like Chris said, drop us your ratings down below, and we'll see you guys all later for another Jays video.